More on that rescue in Cleveland, just miles from where their daughters were held captive. The families of Amanda Berry, Gina De Jesus, and Michelle Knight spent years in distress not knowing where their daughters were, whether they would ever see them again. Here's ABC anchor David Muir with more on their emotional vigil. And David, such a struggle for so long to keep that hope alive.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine the struggle, George. For the last 10 years, these families who saw these young women vanish, so many of them feared that these were going to be lives cut short. They had no idea, certainly, that as they drove down Seymour Street, not far from here, that those women were trapped inside that house. This morning, they're here at the hospital with those very families who feared this day would never come. It was the stunning news family members and friends had prayed for, had hoped for.
You're here. Everything is okay.
For 10 long years, the families of Amanda Berry, Gina De Jesus, and Michelle Knight searching desperately, never giving up hope of not only finding their daughters, but finding them alive. Amanda Berry disappeared in 2003, the day before she turned 17.
I feel somebody did see something.
Gina De Jesus disappearing when she was just 14 in 2004 on a walk home from middle school.
I have that hope all the time that my daughter will be found.
Amanda Berry disappeared.
We don't know what happened to Gina.
The battle to find a missing Cleveland girl, still waiting and still hoping.
All of their families keeping their loved ones' stories, their faces alive year after year.
Tell me where my baby's at so I can bring her home.
A vigil held just last week for Nancy Ruiz's daughter, Gina. Parents' devotion even grabbing the attention of Oprah Winfrey. A decade of countless searches and rallies and tips leading to false hope.
Hopes are in there. They're trying to stay as strong as can be.
It gets harder and harder for us. I thought it would get easy, and it doesn't.
With Amanda and Gina disappearing within a year from one another, their families grew a common bond, sharing their search efforts, reuniting every April for the anniversaries of the girls' disappearances, and sharing stories of the last time they saw their loved ones alive.
She said, "My ride's here, and she'll call when she get home." And I called her back not even 3 minutes later, and that was the last I ever heard from her.
Just last year, Gina's mother said she believed her daughter was a victim of human trafficking.
I always said it from the beginning. She was sold to the highest bidder.
And there was Amanda's mother, Luana Miller, who died in 2006 without ever knowing the truth of her daughter's disappearance. She'd often retraced her daughter's steps, and she'd bought a Christmas gift for her daughter every year, praying to one day give all of those gifts to her daughter in person.
With no answers and not a lead, not a clue, not nothing, that's what's hard because you don't know.
A mother who would not survive to hear her daughter's voice in that phone call to 911, ending a 10-year nightmare.
I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
That part of the story so bittersweet this morning, but to give you an idea of a community really pinching itself, Amanda Berry's cousin was contacted and was told of the news, and she couldn't believe it. She said, "You know, she was my best friend," and somebody nudged her and said, "She is your best friend. She's alive." And one last little signal, a school bus just went by here, and the bus driver honked the horn and gave me the thumbs up. A whole community celebrating here this morning. They certainly know why we're here.